Not recording. Hello everybody, it's Felnix here, but most people call me Gaz, as you'll probably find out as I get told a lot in here. Today I'm joined by Shady and Nathan, and we're going to be discussing the new WoW expansion reveal, as we've both been, well, all three of us have been WoW players for quite a long time.
Yes, Stephen.
That was Nathan.
That wasn't.
Yep.
And Shady.
I'm a good boy.
Shady. So, obviously I've noted a couple of things. Have you guys watched the announcement trailer or anything about it?
No.
Okay, so I'll basically be bringing this up to you guys. And the first thing that I kind of noticed that did bother me a little bit, still no mention of the giant sword in Silithus. You know, the one that was stabbed in there in Legion.
Sargeras' sword.
Yes.
Yep. Big Sarge's sword.
This is essentially 3 expansions. What's going on with the sword?
It's just going to disappear. And they're going to say, what sword?
So,
I have a comment to make there, and I'm not going to do it, but it's really good.
So, obviously, one of the things I will say,
I'm going to message you, Shady.
Going to the new zone, which is we're going to the Dragon Isles, finally. Which I think is going to be fantastic.
Come long enough.
Yeah, I know, right? Ever since Classic. But one of the things straight away that struck me as a little bit weird to do with the Dragon Isles is the centaurs. And the reason the centaurs... Yeah, because you know there's centaurs on the Dragon Isles?
Yeah, no.
Yes, there are centaurs. Yeah, there are centaurs on the Dragon Isles that that predate the ones that arose on Kalimdor. Now, the thing that bugs me about this is, and I'm switching over my video thing here, is that centaurs, when I was looking into their lore, 'cause I'm pretty sure they're not that old of a race. And it says that they were, because they're the offspring of Sonaris' son, wasn't it? And the elemental princess Feridrus, like the big elemental one you fight in the dungeon.
She was annoying.
Yeah, but they say that they were spawned, that they created the thing 1,100 years before the opening of the Dark Portal. So how long ago was the Dark Portal?
Quite a long time ago.
That's the reason I kind of have to ask, because obviously it was Medivh and Gul'dan that originally opened it. But remember that the centaurs who are here predate the Kalimdor ones and have been here for at least 10,000 years. But they were made by Sonaris' son and the elemental princess.
So basically...
Time travel.
yeah. Well, that's all it can be.
Oh, no, it's not time travel.
I don't know.
They were guided here by the... what was it? They were guided to the Dragon Isles by the wild god of the wind.
It was the wind wild god again.
It was the one that looked like a bird. Can't remember the exact name. But yeah, they were guided by the wild god of the wind, and they never specified how many years they were guided there. They just said many, many years ago.
10,000 to be precise.
But 10,000 is how long the Dragon Isles have been away from anyone being able to access it. So it has to be a minimum of 10,000 years. Which means, considering they didn't come along until 1,100 years before the Dark Portal, technically with the lore with Zeta, the son of Sonaris, that would mean that they have to be way before then, or this tribe came around by a different means.
Come down with the different means. I suppose we're going to have to wait for the expansion to find that out properly. Unless they're going to do a massive retcon of lore again.
I mean, they have in the past.
Yeah, they're going to go onto the Wikipedia and go, shit, loopholes that don't make sense.
Well, I mean, we do know that a lot of the old lore writers are no longer there anymore, so lore has essentially free reign right now.
Which doesn't work, because eventually you're going to have bloody space cowboys.
Yeah, but the thing that I find funny with the centaurs as well is that the whole story that they were talking about during the reveal trailer was the reveal stream, was that when they first arrived on the Dragon Isles, they were a hunter tribe essentially, and they were battling the green dragons and like basically being on equal ground, fighting with the green dragons all day, every day, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, so like apparently these centaur hunters are on the same level as the dragons.
So basically,
To the point
what
where they
they've
had to
done-
form a truce.
yeah. So basically, what they've done is gone early civilization in America and done cowboys and Indians when they were fighting all day, all night, and then they decided, yeah, okay, we won't do that.
Yeah, so
And then
basically the truce
there's-
means that the centaurs get the plains and the green dragons got the groves.
I mean, that's a bit of a shit trade, to be fair.
Shouldn't that have been the other way around?
No, because the centaurs, if you look them on Kalimdor, they're in the barrens and stuff. They run around the plains, whereas the
Yeah.
green dragonflight is the groves, the Emerald Dream, that sort of thing.
But then that's really
True.
confusing because if they were made by Solaris' son, they're all to do with like the groves and nature. Therefore,
Yeah.
Yeah,
theory
you can
where they would
see.
thrive?
Yes, this is where the
yeah.
This is why I wanted to bring up the centaurs, because it feels out of place. Like there's something going wrong with the lore specifically there.
Basically, it seems like what they've done is thrown some darts at things and gone,
Where
Ah.
does this go?
that.
Also, understand on the Dragon Isles, there are going to be a giant race who have been at war with the dragons for years. There are going to be gnolls on here. The Tuskar are going to be on here.
Probably find a
Giant
pan-
race, whatever it may be, sounds more plausible to be fighting
Yes.
fighting the dragons. The Tuskar, I don't know why they turned up. Be interesting to see.
They're all
Yes.
peaceful,
Unless they hail from there anyway.
That's the thing. The Tuskar here are getting their models updated. Not only is there, because you know how the Tuskar were all male in like Wrath of the Lich King.
Yeah.
Well, here you're going to have women and children Tuskar as well. So it looks like this could actually be an ancestral home for them.
But
And
they
then
It
might
they
not
makes sense because they are
travelled
an
out.
ancient race.
Yeah, and
True,
not
but they
only
might not have
that,
even been there that long because technically they're walruses,
Yes.
essentially. So they might have just
Yeah.
swam for a really long time.
no, it looks like I fit.
So that means there's going to be a snowy area to the Dragon Isles.
Yes,
or
there
should
is.
be.
Well, I'll get into the zones now. Actually, as soon as you said that, there are 4 new zones, 5 in total, but one
Yeah.
of them's the new starting zone for the new race that I will discuss shortly. The 4 new zones, each one is connected to a different dragonflight.
But the dragonflight didn't control the weather?
No, but it's like I believe like the icy area is kind of like a Grizzly Hills kind of area where it's going to be jungly, and then as you go further up north in it, it's going to become icy. And apparently, it's like one of the biggest areas they've ever built. And looking at it,
They've copy and pasted.
Grizzly Hills, but
Northrend.
yeah, basically, it's giant Northrend. And one of the things that it looks like they're trying to do with it is they're going to have Caligos's story kind of take place there.
Yeah.
And we're going to be helping him delve into Sindragosa's archives.
I'm
Okay.
not gonna lie, I hear that and just think, you know, those Tales of the Borderland games and things like that, where it's just point and click and read the story.
Yeah. But yeah, we're going to be helping Caligos delve into Sindragosa's archives, and I believe we're going to be obviously there'll be a lot of things to do with the blue dragonflight in the icy area. One area that is obviously, I think the first area we come into is going to be to do with the red dragonflight, as they're the ones who got it was Alexstrasza who guides us to the Dragon Isles.
Yeah.
And then the second area is where we'll meet all the centaurs and the green dragonflight. And we're actually going to help, like, apparently the way we meet the centaur is they're bringing down a proto-drake and we help them kill it. Because they're just out there hunting proto-dragons.
Because that makes
Okay.
sense.
Well, that's what they
Well,
are. They're
that's normal.
hunters. They're nomad. They're like super hunters. So they're like far superior, basically, to the centaurs we have in Kalimdor and Eastern King. Well, there's no centaurs in Eastern Kingdoms, is there? Is
I
there?
don't think so.
No. Yeah, so there is kind of that system there. So they have mentioned a couple of things to do with the story, not like heavily, but like little things that popped up in interviews. And one of the things I noticed, like apparently there are going to be 3 major characters involved, which are Khadgar, Rathian.
Oh, Dadgar's back.
Yep, Khadgar, Rathian, and Tyrande. So looking at that, I think Khadgar's going to be involved with Kalagos in the research stuff with the blue dragonfly, given that Kalagos is part of the
It's the aspect
mages,
of magic.
and also he's
Kinda
one of the
makes
mages
sense.
of Dalaran, isn't he?
Mm.
Obviously, Rathian's story is going to be what they've actually said in the reveal video about whether he's ready to step up into leadership or if there are alternatives who would be better suited to take on the job of being the aspect of the Black Dragonflight.
Well, Rathian said he didn't want that back in Mop. I'm sure he did.
Yeah, but that's why they're saying if he's going to step up or if they're going to find someone else to take that role from him.
Yep.
He's just going to flip a coin.
And then obviously Tyrande, I have a feeling, is going to be to do with Ysera's daughter and the Green Dragonflight and all that. Sorry, I've got a bit frog in my throat.
Quickly.
I'm still
Ribbit.
not going to lie. I'm very confused about the centaur thing because it makes no bloody
Yeah.
No,
sense.
it doesn't, and that's one of the things I
Yeah,
I
I
had to
can't
note
wrap my head
down.
around it. I'm really struggling to wrap my head around that.
Yeah, no, the centaurs are the things that's bugged me as well. Like since last night, I've been wanting to talk about it, but I was like, no, we're doing this today. I'll look at it then.
Unless it is genuinely a completely different race of centaurs
Centaurs.
and not the ones connected with the Grove.
Which then wonders where did they come from?
But it can't be because if the centaurs were created by Cenarius' son, then it's not possible.
Yeah. But yeah, it kind of goes on. So like,
Unless they're rogue centaurs that have gone off on their own.
potentially, but it's that
Could also be a
10,000
thing,
year
potentially.
thing.
Could be, but how are they 8,900 years minimum older?
Well, no, because remember, the first ones came along 1,100 years before the Dark Portal.
Well,
But
what do we
hasn't
need to do now,
everything-
guys, is Google when the Dark Portal was done.
I looked into that. I couldn't find a date on the WoW Wiki. It's like they've hidden the date of the Dark Portal. I
in
legitimately
there.
was looking up research for this earlier.
Basically,
All I
somebody
can think is if they've gone.
Because the
I don't know.
the Sundering was 10,000 years ago, wasn't it? Because the Dragonflights all left the Dragon Isles during the Sundering, and then the Dragon Isles was hidden. It's kind of the story they're going with by the looks of it. Obviously, I might be wrong. I might have misread it or misheard it, but that's
Well, they
generally
could
what I
have
think
been out
it is.
sailing and come across. I don't know.
Well, no, like
Well,
I
then
said, the
again,
Centaurs were
how many
guided by the Wild
boats-
God. Wild God of the Wind.
How many boats did they take over? If they were battling the dragons for X amount of years.
Well, that's the thing. Like the Centaurs were specifically battling the Green Dragonflight and keeping on par with them, which makes me sit there and go, "But 1 minute, dragons." Also, the whole thing with the giants is they were saying in the first area we need to help the Red Dragonflight with the giants, but because the Red Dragonflight are the life binders and they're there to preserve life, they don't want to just wipe out the giants. That's why they haven't just stomped them out. But they need to try and find a way to essentially make sure they're not a threat to other races while also kind of dealing with them.
It seems all very muddled to me.
Yeah.
As it stands right now.
I think one thing that you might like, which they have mentioned in an interview, is that there will be a new big bad. But we're not going to know who it is right away. They're doing it like Mop, where we're going to be dealing with threats on the plane first. Well, I say plane. On the Dragon Isles first, we'll be dealing with like little threats like the Giants, the Centaur, or whatever else, the Proto-Drakes. And then they'll be bringing the big bad later into the expansion.
It needs to be done right then.
Yeah, and also players are expected to learn more about Galakrond as well as the different aspects and other kinds of dragons that existed in the past.
Now that's going to be good. I reckon. I enjoy the Galakrond lore.
Well, the thing is as well, because we're with the Dragonflights, the Bronze Dragonflights means that we can actually go back to the Galakrond War and witness it.
Galakrond War is going to be a really interesting aspect if they get it right.
Yep. They have also
Because
specified...
it is a really good story.
Yeah, it is a great story, because that was before they were even aspects. That's when they were all Proto-Drakes. Yeah. One thing worried me immediately, but it's typical Blizz. Some time gating is to be expected, as Blizzard likes that a portion of the players will unlock certain things at once.
That's fair and that's understandable.
And one the
There's got to be
example
every game has a form of time gating
gated.
in.
Yes. An example they gave for the time gating that they liked was the new raid that they just did, the Sepulchre, the first ones.
As long as it's not the time gating they do beforehand, where it's literally drip fed to you over a matter of 6 weeks,
Yep.
instead of saying, right, here's what we've got now. In let's say 2 months in a month time, when everyone's got up to the level cap and done the main story and the main characters, we're then going to release a point something
Yeah.
where it's going to unlock this part of the story for you to go and do.
See, that'll be good, because that's story patches. A bit like how Final Fantasy did it,
yeah, a bit like how Final Fantasy did it. They released a story patch.
I'm more worried that they're going to time gate grind content. That's what worries me. Like how they did with the Maw.
It's good. I hope not. Just let everyone go out and grind.
Like to know, Gaz, the Dark Portal was first opened for the time of the First War.
Yes, I just can't remember when the first war was.
Doesn't tell you because it's split into 0 AD. It's basically it began a new timeline of 0 ADP to 5 ADP, which was after the Dark Portal.
Yeah. And then obviously the whole point of the first war with Medivh was to weaken the lands before the Burning Legion did its first invasion. So that's what I mean, like that one is very up in the air. I'm not sure on the timings of that.
Week on Tuesday.
Yeah. One thing, obviously, Nathan, you didn't play Shadowlands, did you?
Played a little bit.
Okay, so you might actually be able to kind of have an input on this as well. Then is they have said this was in an interview, not in the reveal video. Like they've done a lot of information in post interviews. Renown is coming back. They are doing Renown again.
It has to be done a lot better than it is this time.
Yes. What they're doing is, you know how before you picked one and then you ranked it up?
Yeah.
They're not doing that anymore. Each of the 4 main reps, the 4 Dragonflights, will have 1 Renown bar each. And you can level them all up individually, but you don't have to choose one to level up.
No, I'd like it spread. I'd like it.
No, that's what I mean. It is spread.
All
leveled
up.
No, they've all got their own individual bars. Basically, Renown's just becoming a different form of old rep, by the sounds of it.
Will it be across all characters, or do you have to regrind that rep on other characters?
This is where Blizz have said they're looking to incorporate alt friendliness, but they've not given an explanation on it yet.
Yeah,
because there's nothing worse as somebody who enjoys raiding, who's always enjoyed raiding, being stuck tied to one character because I've had to go back and regrind the rep again.
Which is probably what's going to happen because every single time they say, we're going to become alt friendly, they mess it up.
Yeah, they do.
I hate having to grind it over again, do the story again. It's boring.
Yeah.
They also mentioned Mythic Plus in the interview. Sorry. There will be 8 dungeons a season for Mythic Plus.
Yeah.
But it's going to be 4 Dragonflight dungeons and 4 past expansion dungeons.
That could be good.
They have specified no Shadowlands dungeons because it's too recent.
That could be good because the Legion dungeons were fun. They were enjoyable as Mythic Plus.
See, I'm interested though. You know how it says past expansion? Are they going to go back and make pre-Mythic Plus dungeons and rework them to Mythic Plus?
I'd like to see them try, but for some of the dungeons, I don't think they can.
But that's the thing, because it's a rotation of only 4 past ones, it doesn't have to be every dungeon. They've also said that Season 2 will be another set of 4 and 4 older dungeons again, which means we can assume there's at least 8 dungeons going to be in the new expansion.
I reckon they could do the ones from MOP and WoD. I reckon they could get turned into Mythic Plus.
I think if they
But any earlier than
retune-
that, I generally don't think they could turn them into Mythic Plus.
I don't know, because with how overtuned originally Heroic Kata dungeons were, and with the aspects that Heroic Kata had with the Dragonflights, obviously being the story of Deathwing, could end up seeing that getting brought back.
Could do, but I don't think they would work. Whereas with the MOP and WoD dungeons, they were... what's it called?
Fun.
No, not just fun. They had the challenge mode
Yeah.
Mm.
where you got your cosmetics, so they were kind of built around that, essentially.
Yeah. I think
They were
that's
built
sort
around
of-
that idea of optimal route and stuff.
Yeah,
Nice.
I think that's the issue though, is the fact that when they brought in Mythic Plus, it was basically just a case of if you don't do this, you're never gonna do good.
No, Mythic
And-
Plus originally you didn't in Legion you didn't have to Mythic Plus to raid. I'm a testament to that. Because I barely ever touched Mythic Plus, but I was still raiding with our guild.
Hmm.
It wasn't until BFA that they made, because of the Azurite power and stuff like that, it became required.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they carried it on being required, and it's like,
Although, good news.
Yeah.
They said they've listened to players and there will not be like an Azurite system or the Anima system or anything like that coming back, like that borrowed power system. They've said they're not doing that
Good.
again.
that's good though, because the thing is like they bring in these borrowed power systems, and then they're completely obsolete. Yet you've had to spend 90% of your game time actually bloody getting it.
Yes,
So it's like, you've done all this, what for? Nothing.
and that's one thing they mentioned. They don't like players basically losing a huge chunk of their character at the start of every new expansion. So they're reworking the UI, they're reworking like the core fundamentals of the game in order to try and create permanent progression with your characters. So that could be
Progression is
interesting.
good. But also, what I'd like to see for for watching things like Race the World First and that
Mhm.
is you always have the teams going in and just getting as much power as they can over and over again, just to
Yeah.
beat the raid.
Well, they
If
actually
the raid,
Sorry, just what you said about Raid to World First. They actually did bring up Raid to World First in an interview.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they said, I know it's the race, but I'm calling it just because I'm thinking raid. But yeah, but they actually turned around and said that with this last Race to World First, they don't want it to last as long as it has for this one, where it's taken weeks upon weeks. But they also don't want it ended in the first week, so they're struggling to find exactly where they want that balance to be.
put a contest mode type thing in it,
Mm.
where for the first week, your item level is locked at let's say max item level for doing the mythic raid is 500 item level.
Ah.
Just throwing a number out, it's just 500,
Yeah.
500 item level. So for the first week of the raid race, your item level is locked at 500. So if players have gone out and grinded, got to 510, 515, and so on and so forth,
They're
for the raid.
put back down and everyone's
they're-
kind of in an equal place.
But they're rolled back, so they're all in an even. So everybody's on an even playing field.
Do you know what would be even more interesting than that? I think
Then after
specifically.
the first week, they can say, right,
Yeah.
we now up it to be whatever your character is capped at.
See,
Or
the thing is,
after 2 weeks, maybe.
you know how the Race to World First Raiders, they specifically, a lot of the players who do that just do the race and then don't play again till the next raid is out.
Yeah.
What if they created a system where you sign up to be a Race to World First team and you have a separate server where everyone has essentially all the tier gear if they're doing tier gear. They have everyone on the exact same playing field, and it's just a place where they sign in their max level, their everything unlocked basically. Go see what you can do.
That wouldn't work.
No.
Hmm. Well, just
'Cause
kind
you'd
of
get
a
a
bit
lot of
like
peop-
the old arena servers that they used to have.
That wouldn't work for the simple reason you get a lot of people who just wouldn't bother.
I guess.
They wouldn't play the game. They'd just log in for the raid and be good, and be done with it.
But they already
got to
do
keep-
that. Basically.
But they also play the game, and a lot of them still play the game after the race.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Although a
would
lot of them
basically-
don't.
It would basically just be something taking up server space that
Yeah.
gets
Yeah.
used for a couple of weeks a year.
I suppose. I'm just trying to think, because obviously one of the things that happened with this race to world first especially was a lot of the guilds were paying other players to come along and be taken through the raid specifically just to be a gear trader. They were offering millions of gold just to have players come in and gear trade with them.
Been like that for
Ages.
Yeah, but I was wondering
long
whether
now?
like moving it away from where they could have that aspect could allow, essentially stop the guilds doing that, stop people essentially being paid to be dragged through the raid just to give people gear and
You can't.
no, I
it's
know.
it's never going to be stopped because it's in-game gold.
Yep. It's one of those
Plus-
ones where it's an idea, but obviously not.
Yeah. Plus, it's something that's never going to stop. It's always been there. It's just over the past couple of years, it's become more and more of a focal point because you've had the boosting communities.
Yeah.
And the race to world first has been streamed,
Okay.
whereas it was shrouded in this big mystery where all the top guilds had the what was it, the 5 kill rule, I think it was,
Yeah.
where 5 kills before the guys who got the world first would release their kill video.
Yeah.
Okay, that was pretty cool.
Whereas now everything's being streamed, you can see
Yeah.
how
Everything's being done.
everything's been done. Whereas, like I say, it was all shrouded in like a mystery, and you'd get the snippets of the nerd screams at the end of the raid, which I used to love waiting for, see which one got world first, and then you'd see the nerd scream,
Yeah.
get the nerd scream video, and then a couple of weeks later or a week later, you'd get the actual kill video to watch.
Fantastic. The one thing I'm going to do while we're on the concept of talking about the raid, if you look in the Discord, if you're watching, you have got the stream up, haven't you? The one I'm sending
Yeah.
to you guys. I'm actually going to show you the concept art for the tier sets,
Okay.
as this is kind of where they're looking to go with it.
Oh, that's a hell of a lot more interesting than the stuff they've released for Shadowlands.
Right? For one, there's variation. But yeah,
Right. So I'm just looking out on. I'm guessing the top left first one is Hunter.
top left. I reckon Hunter is on the top right first one.
No, top
'Cause
left.
they got the
I
head-
reckon.
See, I think that might be Death Knight.
I think that first one's Warrior. The first one's Warrior. Second one's Mage.
Second
third
one
one's
strikes
Warlock.
me as Priest.
More Mage, Warlock.
But then look at the blue
Yes.
one with the orbs behind it.
That's
That's
Druid.
more magey. Druid.
That's more
Druid.
Shamanish. Shamanic.
I'd say this one down here is Druid, the one that looks
Yeah,
like
the
a
bo-
bird.
Yeah. Yeah, the
No,
one
the
you're
bottom one's
hovering
Druid.
over is Shaman.
Shaman.
No, I'd say that one's Shaman. The one with the electricity coming off it.
Actually, the one on the top far right could be Hunter.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. That one Hunter, that one
No,
Death
other
Knight.
one at the other
no,
end.
the
that
one with
one.
like the
Yes.
head with the.
There's theory that could either be Hunter or the new Evoker.
It's probably Hunter because it looks the shittest.
Yeah.
the
I do think though that where am I going? I think that's Priest, that's Warlock, and that's Demon Hunter.
That is definitely Demon,
Demon
Hunter.
Hunter, the horns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've got Monk here.
Yeah.
I think this is Paladin.
Yeah.
This is the
Could
one
be
that I
next
think's
to it,
Warrior,
though.
like the
No,
the
'cause they-
Earth kind of style to the Warrior, and
No, because they've used sort of like for Warrior similar shoulders to that one before
yeah,
on the top one where you had the
That's the Deathwing set.
yeah.
yeah. But that's why I think that one might be Death Knight, 'cause obviously it's got kind of dark. Whereas this I feel is Paladin, 'cause obviously you got the holy kind of light aspect to it. You've got like the Templar's crown kind of aspect towards the back of it.
Mm.
But one of the things I've actually done as well is it looks like it's based on, as I said before, 4 dragons.
Yes,
and it's these ones here. Elemental Proto Drakes is again concept art of fire, ice, earth, and wind, and like wind, lightning sort of thing.
It'd be lightning.
Yeah, and these look like they're going to be. I feel like these might be the raid bosses.
We'll probably see them incorporated into the raid at some point.
Yeah,
I reckon it'll be more of a council raid boss if they do that.
Because it says like their tier sets seem to be related to elemental proto dragon leaders. Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with that, with the primalist and stuff, and I'll just leave that up for a little bit because it is quite interesting art. I do like it.
I like the rogue. So what
the rogue set looks good. Set? Yeah, I really like the look of the priest. I really like priest. Obviously, like the reason I think this is priest is the holy symbols coming down and stuff like that.
Yeah.
See, the reason I think that one in the top right middle could be druid is because they had that similar style with druid. Remember the one with the orbs on the TSX ready?
Yeah. I do think the bottom one seems to be the one in the middle of the bottom right seems to be druid. It looks very druidy.
Only thing I can say is if that was the case, we could where would the priest or the mage come into it? Like, because that feels magey, that feels druidy, that feels shamany, because obviously elements and stuff. If they did take it though, where like one of these two needs to be the hunter and the evoker, I feel.
So the hunter will be the skinny one. The evoker will be the big one.
Which would be which the dragons on the side and also the horns coming up could work because you're playing as a dragon race.
Well, yeah, I think you might be right with the two in the middle on the left. Well, yeah, it's either the first one on the top or the third one on the bottom right. One of them have got to be warrior. I do feel it could be the first one.
Yeah.
But it could also be...
I'm torn between that one and that one as to which one's warrior and which one's Death Knight.
They both look very warrior-y.
Yeah. But I feel that one feels the aesthetic of Death Knight more than that one does.
Yeah.
That's what's making me think.
Darker colours.
Yeah. Also, with the red glow, it could be if you had like a tier set bonus coming off of it, be like a tank set where it goes towards the blood Death Knight a little bit.
If so, it's the first decent-looking DK set that's not been blue.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing to say that couldn't be the DK set just because it's bulky. But yeah.
And blue.
Yeah, exactly, blue. But yeah, what was it? So speaking of, as we've kind of come into it, the Drakfear.
Yeah.
They worry me. They worry me a lot.
Yeah.
Because they're a new race where you pick whether you want to join the Horde or Alliance. And they're not only a new race, but they're a class specifically tied to them. And this is one of the things that kind of that bugs me a bit in the lore. Is obviously they were created by Neltharion. But then they went into, I will go into the actual creation detail in a moment, I've got the video for it here. But something else they specified as well is that because they were created by an aspect, they can wield the magic of all 5 dragonflights.
Okay.
They're gonna be broken.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Because they were created by an aspect, they can wield all 5.
Were they created before or after Deathwing was an aspect? That's what's worrying me.
When I read into it, it was before he went mad. He thought there was going to be a separation. So he wanted to create a force that was extremely strong and combined basically all of the aspects, powers.
So before he went mad and while he was an aspect.
Yes. Yeah. Because...
so that makes more sense than what was led to believe last night.
Yeah, like, because the way they explain it is really thrown off as well. And because the thing is with Neltharion, like, obviously the Dragon Isles themselves didn't exist until they became dragon aspects, because Tyr is the one that led them here after he made them aspects. Well, after he got the Titans to make them aspects, after they defeated Galakrond. So, like, there's a lot of lore going on to this zone. One thing that makes me laugh again, though, is there's 2 specs. And one of it is the ranged DPS spec. So it's going to be a male wearing ranged DPS uses red and blue magic. And then the healing spec is using green and bronze.
Does that
bronze
mean
wasn't
they're
bronze time.
Bronze
does
is
that mean
time.
they're gonna have a busted ability where it's like everyone's almost dead and they just go?
Wait, why is he using? Why is
Reset.
he using green magic as a healer? Shouldn't he be using red magic as a healer?
This is what I was thinking. Because isn't the red dragonflight the life preservers? But red
Yeah.
is the DPS side. Because, you know, red fire dragon.
Red look cool.
And the green dragonflight were. They
Sleeping.
could be classed as healing because of the dreaming state. Because
Yeah.
of the not the dreaming state, because of the dreaming state.
Yeah. So green and bronze are the healing. And they
Hey.
did say with bronze that it would be kind of like playing around with time a little bit to speed up your healing ability on people, like speed up your dots, stuff like that.
Sounds
That's
interesting.
It does, but it also sounds like they really have to get that right because otherwise that's not gonna work and it's gonna be really buggy and break
Yep.
really easily.
Well, it's going to be interesting as well because they're doing something that they call prismatic, where when you use your abilities, like the one they showed was like a flare ability. It was a red damaging ability, and as it flies through the air, it flies all of the colors, kind of like a rainbow. And then when it hits, it switches to the color of the damage type. So it's like it flies through with all of them, and then it hits red. And then like the blue ability, so red is more AoE and blue is single target focused.
Okay.
So it'd be like laser beams on a single target, that sort of stuff with blue.
Burying my lasers.
Yeah. One thing
but
I've
the thing
noticed
is, as well though, it's
Hmm.
gonna be like every single bloody time they release a new class.
Yeah, it's gonna be broken.
It's gonna be stupidly broken.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna be playing it. And it's not gonna work.
See,
Well, it will work, but it's just gonna be like so many other classes are gonna be a case of no, you can't join the raid. Why? Because we need 14 of these.
Yeah, basically. I do have there is an interesting thing though that I quite like the look of, which I say I like the look of. I think they're hinting at the story through the gameplay. Because you noticed I've said 4 zones, each based on a dragonflight. The Drakfir have the powers of all the dragonflights, but use red, blue, green, bronze. What's going on with the black dragonflight?
I have no idea.
Because none of the zones specifically have anything to do with the black dragonflight by the looks of it, although apparently one of the dungeons will be Neltharion's old lair.
How many times have
Have
we
we been
to
there
his...
already?
I was gonna say, how many times have we been to his lair now?
No, his original lair on the Dragon Isles.
We're going to Neltharion's childhood home.
Basically. But so you've got that there. You've got the fact that, but the thing is, it says the Drakfir can use all the dragonflights, but it uses red, blue, green, bronze. So why isn't it using abilities with the black dragonflight?
What abilities did the black actually have?
Well, that was the thing. Was the black? I'm
Google
not fully sure on what they did anymore. They were the strong one. They were Earth. Yeah, they were Earth. They were strength. They were the strongest, essentially, with then could move the Earth itself.
So they would have been ideal for a tank.
Yeah, so if they'd had a tank spec, they could have made it bronze and black,
So
because they could have had...
Earth, and they used magma.
Yeah.
Liquid hot magma.
So of course, Shamani type class it would have been.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, they seem to have taken... they've done it again where the hero class is only 2 specs, but I feel like they could have actually had a class, a bit like Paladin, that had all 3 specs available to it. A tank, a ranged DPS, and a healer. Which I think also would have given us our first male wearing tank if they'd done that. No, yeah, it would have. Yeah. It would have been our first ever male wearing tank.
To be fair, the tank situation is kind of oversaturated at the moment. Yeah. You've got paladins, you've got death knight, you got monk,
warrior,
you got druid, you got warrior, you got demon hunter.
Yeah.
But couldn't you say the same thing about
healers?
Every other class?
But when it comes to, but you can only have really 2 tanks in a raid.
Yeah, that's the problem. Whereas with healers, you've got paladin, priest, druid, shaman, monk. It's basically almost the same amount, but because there's more slots allowed in a raid.
Yeah. The thing is, as well,
I suppose
melee's also overrun.
Yeah.
You want to carry more range than you do melee.
Well, this is the
Yeah,
first.
I suppose as well, though, the other issue is the fact that it's going to be a hero class. It's going to be busted.
Well,
At least you're slightly limiting it by not having it as a triple threat class.
Yeah, but let's also understand the fact that this is the first hero class as a ranged DPS.
Yeah.
The first one is not melee. So, what's that going to do to mage? Essentially, I'm because of the evoker class and the way it uses the different aspects as magic. I'm really worried for what that's going to do to mage.
I don't think you can. I don't think. I genuinely think there's always going to be a mage in the raid, regardless.
Oh yeah, but I'm like spec wise, maybe towards arcane mage. I'm wondering what's going to happen with that. Because obviously one of their spells was evocation. These are called evokers. So has something happened? Like, you know how Demonology Warlock was changed when Demon Hunters came about? Do we think they're going to change a spec of mage now that the evokers are a thing?
I don't know. I don't think so, because mage has pretty been stable the way it has for many, many, many expansions, with only changes here and there.
Yes.
It's never had the real big overhaul that most specs have had.
That's cool. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to edit this bit out, but I'm just putting this bit here as a pause point. Because this is 40 minutes, what I'm going to do, we'll continue going, but I'm actually going to upload it as 2 videos, one up until this point, and then the next video we're going to talk about the talent system, the new profession system, and everything.
Mm.
So I've just got that there for myself to remind me it's a pause point.
Future guys.
Future guys, do the editing. So, because I do feel like the profession is almost something we can talk about in a video on itself, honestly. Here's the thing. Talent system.
Ooh.
They're changing the talent tree.
I could see it having problems.
Well, here's the thing that they've actually specified, right? Is that, why have I gone to the video? Wait, what was I going to do there? I forgot what I was going to do there. But yes, the talent...
the talent guys, edit this bit out too.
No, we'll keep it in. The new talent trees, that it's going to go into a 2-tree system with your class and your spec. Where your class tree is going to be focused on class utility and your spec tree helping you to perform your role.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that they've specified is the class tree is actually going to start off with some of your abilities filled out based on the spec you choose to kind of help you out a little bit. But the class tree is also going to have aspects from the other specs in there that will allow you to build into kind of a hybrid. Whereas the spec specific will be upgrading your ability, like if you're a healer, to increase your healing and that sort of stuff.
I don't know how I feel about that, because regardless of however you're going to dress up the talent system, there is always going to be a go-to path.
Yeah,
that
always going to be
the best to do for current situation.
Yeah. So one thing they're doing that I think you're going to like, Shady, is they're making it so you can save your talent loadouts and load them up. So you can have multiple talent loadouts saved. So like one for PvP, one for Raid, one for doing Mythic Plus, and just with a click of a button, switch which loadout you've got on.
Also, don't need an add-on for that anymore. No,
they're making it part of the game. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think you might like that. What else were they doing with talent? Because like they haven't talked too much about what they were doing with talents. They were just kind of going into it. And like I say, you can switch and build, and they want to make.
My opinion, it looks
more
interesting,
diverse.
But I think it's going to fall short of every other, because regardless, there's always going to be a go-to path at the
top end.
There's always going to be a go-to path, because as the one thing that WoW struggles from is whatever happens at the top end always rolls down to the mid to bottom end, regardless.
Because they have said that one of the things they want to try and do, well, not what they want to try to do, but what they're learning from is they've learned from how new players who have gone to Classic have been playing around with the talent trees, but also how like they want to keep the fluidity and the ability to adapt to a situation from the mop talent trees, where you know you'd switch up your talents based on your thing. Yes. And so they want to keep that ability. So resetting your talent points isn't. It looks like it's free as well. It's just a button to reset and then rebuild. So you can save the one you like, reset, build differently, save that, reset, build differently, save that. And it looks like there's going to be a lot of I think for the high end players, there's going to be set paths, and if you're trying to get into raid, there are going to be a lot of elitists and also other players that are going to want that out there. But I think for the casual player base, this could actually be a really good thing.
Yeah.
Because it's going to give them that ability to play around with their class and make it more dynamic to how they play the game, and also make them feel more like the kind of the class fantasy of it.
I mean, they're getting rid of tomes of the mind, or whatever they're called.
Yeah, you're not going to need them because they're just going to have a button to reset.
Yeah, but you can do that anyway, where you need a tome to be able to reset without being in a rest zone, which is annoying.
But now it's just saved situations, isn't it? You just switch up your talent trees. Obviously, we'll have to wait for the beta to come out to see how they actually implement that. But But it could be interesting.
It'd be nice to hop in and have a look.
So yeah,
how it actually works.
You know what I was saying about them doing with old dungeons?
Yeah.
They have kind of already revamped an old dungeon for pre-patch. Because in pre-patch, which is going to last 2 weeks, the Evokers are going to be an available playable class and race.
Yeah.
And also, they're doing a level 60 revamp of Alderman.
Oh no, nobody likes that dungeon.
Yeah, but it looks like they're adding new rooms to it and everything. Because obviously, the Titan Watchers are on here. They're specifically to do with Tyr. I believe Tyr was the storyline in Alderman.
They're going to revamp a couple of old dungeons.
Yeah, but the dungeon was a pain in the ass for new people anyway. It took long enough to learn the bleeding thing.
Yeah, well now they're doing a level 61. But I don't know how long it's going to be there, because they said it's going to be available during pre-patch. Like, it's going to be like a 2-week event, maybe.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. I'll see how I feel closer to the time without jumping and look. I don't know. I'm very, very skeptical right now. I do want to see WoW succeed, because it's been a big part of my life. It's helped me through a lot of crap.
See, I want to see it succeed as well, because
the direction it's been taking lately has put me off. This is the first time I've dropped out and thought, no, I cannot be arsed raiding.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I feel so far behind after taking a week off. It's just
It's one of those ones where at the moment they've made a lot of wrong decisions, I'd say.
It's more a case of, if the game wasn't a massive part of your life, then to me you couldn't do the end stuff. You couldn't do the higher level stuff, because you were always playing catch up, and after a while there was a point of no return, because it was just like, I really cannot be bothered to just run around doing this daily and this daily and this daily and this stupid
when I could be doing this and having fun
times already.
Essentially, it lost that market that sat there, which was being able to log in whenever you wanted and catch up at your own pace.
Especially as somebody who's always had to have 2 tanks at the ready to go.
Yeah.
In case needed to switch.
I still remember the last raid you did, where that you were leveling your Warlock for it because you wanted to specifically run Warlock, and you needed to get the gear, so you needed to take the Warlock into the raid, but the raid would only take you in on the tank.
Yeah. It's like the beginning of the expansion. I wanted to be a priest.
Yeah, you were working quite heavily on Shadow
warrior
Priest.
and my DK because they needed a tank.
Yeah, because when we were going through the story, like when we did the no sleep till level cap, you were priest in it, weren't you?
Yeah, I was really loving my priest. Thoroughly loved my priest.
Yeah. It was fun, because we were able to do dungeons together. We had me there to jump in as a terrible tank. We had you as the Shadow Priest DPS. We had another DPS. We just needed healer, really, and another DPS.
It was interesting. It was fun. It was new. First time I was actually a DPS in, was it 10 years?
Yes.
I was enjoying it. But because the guild at the time, they needed the tank.
Tank, yeah. You had to level tank.
I was the only one that was willing to do it. I had to do it.
Which, again, it goes into the community
because nobody else was comfortable with tanking.
And it is one of the things that I think go into that community aspect of World of Warcraft is, and I think it's something they could, I know it's going to sound really stupid here, I think they could learn from Final Fantasy a little bit, where...
That seems to be what they're trying to do, is trying to do sort of things that seem to be sort of not copying, but have
learning.
a similar sort of effect, similar sort of feel, so you could try and lure the people that were playing that, who used to play WoW, because it's something they're familiar with.
It's not even a case of luring, it's the aspect of an MMO is at its best when it learns from other MMOs and they keep learning from each other and adapting and becoming better because of it. So like Final Fantasy, when it was suffering, it looked to WoW and it learnt from WoW, and then it started, before it found its own feet and started moving up its own path. But the original stuff was a lot learnt from WoW. Yeah, and then you go through...
The issue I see with the fact with Blizzard when it comes to WoW, because it's been like the forefront for MMOs, I feel they've let that get to their heads a little bit.
Well, I mean, you can always bring it to like the console wars. Whatever one's in the lead messes up the next one.
Yeah.
With every generation.
Unfortunately, though, it's been quite a few years of WoW messing up.
But WoW's mistakes has allowed new MMOs to learn and thrive and prosper. Where because of WoW having its issues, players were able to kind of move around a little bit. Elder Scrolls Online was able to build a proper player base. Final Fantasy got a huge player base buff because of it. What was the other? Even the Old Republic had a player base run to it for Star Wars. You had RuneScape, old school RuneScape, make a comeback.
Yeah.
And now, if WoW can learn from what those MMOs have adapted and build it into what it looks like they're trying to do with player feedback and learning, we might get a solid...
MMOs across the board.
Yes.
Although quickly with saying that, did anybody see where after Microsoft purchased Activision Blizzard, there was the leak on the Xbox store for WoW?
It's not confirmed yet. It's a leak, but no one has mentioned about a console edition yet. Although with the way they're changing the UI, I wouldn't be surprised.
Easily happen.
Yeah. Because it looks like they're making the UI a bit more like how Final Fantasy's UI works a little bit.
Simpler.
Which means, it's simpler, it's movable by yourself, you don't have to use a third-party thing to move everything around. So it's an editable UI, so it could end up getting controller support.
Yeah, less graphically intensive sort of thing.
But WoW's never been graphically intensive anyway. WoW is something that they've always wanted to be able to run on as many systems as possible.
Yeah.
You say that, as soon as you get anywhere above 20 people in PvP, everything goes to pot. Even on a high-end system.
Yeah, that's because they're trying to make it so that the low-end systems can still run it, so that's just spaghetti coding.
Yeah. Anyhow, I'll go jump out because I am really tired.
No worries, man. I will speak to you later.
See you later.
Right. So, Shady.
Yep.
Let's finish it with something we both know heavily. Professions.
Yeah, I like professions. Professions are fun.
So, obviously the big new change in professions in 10.0, work orders.
That sounds interesting. It genuinely does.
Have specified more on how the work order system works as well. You have to go to a specific NPC who is like an auction house, and you put the order online for people to do.
Yep.
They have said you can either put all of the regents needed for it, or you can put some of the regents in. So the other players, like say you're a leather worker, you can get some regents that are needed that the miner wouldn't be able to get, but you can't get the mining ones, but the miner can go out and get them for you. It looks like that's going to be part of the system. Something else that's interesting about it, and I think this is what makes it really interesting. You know how soulbound gear worked?
Yeah.
Because of the work order system, other profession makers can make soulbound gear for you.
Oh,
so soulbound gear. So a blacksmith making soulbound gear, like a weapon or something, can make it for a leather worker profession by the public order, by the work order system. That means that they can put soulbound items and actual proper items tied into the crafting system now.
That means it would have to be a bind on pickup as soon as they pick it up out of the order.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're going to have people making the soulbind gear and essentially shuffling it over to the auction house.
Yeah, but
which could be a problem in itself.
Yes, but it looks so. I think it will be because they did specify you can have them create soulbound items for you. But I think the moment you pick it up, it's soulbound to you.
If that's how they do it, then yes, that sounds cool as fuck.
Another thing that's interesting is you can choose who you want to do your work orders. Essentially,
Yeah.
So when you set up a work order, you can set it up to be public, where anyone can do it. Set it up for only your guild to be able to see it, or you can actually send the work order to a specific player.
That's actually pretty cool.
And there's like, when you set up the work order, you set up how much you're going to pay them in gold for it.
Yeah.
So you have the price there. You also set up the time limit. So like when you set up the work order, it might only be available for 24 hours and then you have to relist it, that sort of thing. So it's got a full system.
That actually makes crafting fun.
And important.
Not only fun, it makes it important. Mm-hmm. And not only that, it gives people who only really care about crafting
something to do.
Something of their own to do.
Well, that's the thing. You know, you said about only care about crafting.
Yeah.
Specializations are back.
Oh, so you got your
armor smith, pots, blacksmith,
armor smiths, pots, and blacksmiths. That's going to be nice to see.
But they're adding a new system to it.
What?
So you can now choose specializations, and they're adding a point system to it, where you can like go around the world, and you can. This is examples they gave where like you could read an old book that you find lying around somewhere, or meet a hermit in a cave that teaches you a little something, and you're going to get specialization points that you put into your specialization to become a better one of that specialization. For example, if you put points into armor smithing, you're going to get better at crafting armor. There's going to be a leveling system for the specializations itself.
That sounds cool. That gives professions a whole end game.
Yeah. Not only that, but like they explained it with guilds, you could have multiple top tier blacksmiths who all specialize in different things.
Yep.
And so you're going to have that kind of guild connectivity where, you know, this person in the guild can make this person in the guild can make this. Now,
That's actually really cool. It gives, like I said, come back to it again, it gives endgame to crafting, which is needed.
And I'm actually going to have to...
Crafting in WoW has always been a case of, I've got my crafter, I'll make some stuff for the auction house if I can be bothered.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I am actually going to need to jump back a little bit about when I was saying about the new areas. Because they're adding a hub area to the game.
Ooh.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And this is the like other new area released. And it strikes me as a weird place. It's where's the name of it? Sorry, I did write it down, but I'm trying to find it in my notes. I did a lot of notes. Where is it? Here we are. There's a new area called Phaldrassus. It is the seat of power of all 5 dragonflights and is the home of the dragons. The one thing I want to point out here is the home of the dragons on the Dragon Isles. Makes sense.
Rocky science, is it?
It's also the only area, from what they've said, where the dragon buildings aren't in ruins. It's been preserved. This is the player hub. And it's basically a city.
There's a picture of it.
Yes, I will get those up in a moment.
Ooh.
So it's a city that was created by all of the dragonflights working together to build what they think a city would look like.
Yeah.
I will see if I can find it now, because it's actually in the expansion reveal notes here, so I can find it through this. Where is it? Weaving the Story, Orion Plains, Phaldrassus. Here we go. Let's come into Phaldrassus. So yeah, so one of the things they've talked about with Phaldrassus as well, like how it was made by all the dragonflights. Red dragonflight and green dragonflights will have their own special gardens and stuff like that.
Ooh.
Here we are. I've got the exact bit here that I will play for you now.
Full screen it.
Yeah, I'm going to full screen it here, so...
from the Kirin Tor. A lot of surprises. When we're done there, we head over to Valdrassus.
So this is Valdrassus.
Valdrassus. It's really incredible because you will be going through some of the previous zones and seeing a lot of ruins for the dragon buildings. But when you get to Valdrassus, everything is perfectly intact. It's beautiful. It's pristine. It is the seat of power for all 5 dragon flights and home of the dragons. It feels that way with the huge vertical mountains. We've got these great cave systems where you may end up finding little dragon hordes.
My favorite dragonflight right now is the Bronze. They've got a really cool area in Valdrassus, and their magic is time. There's so many cool story hooks that we could dig into there. There's so many cool gameplay options. And we have a little bit of an adventure for players. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I can't wait. We really wanted it to feel like their old stomping grounds. One of the really cool features
This is the
going
main
to
city.
be the main city and player hub for this expansion, Valdrakken. It is a culmination of all of the dragon's efforts to put together what a city would look like. So we ended up having a bunch of really fun small vignettes where you see that the blue dragonflight is hosting a public library, and the red and green dragonflights both have their own separate gardens. We'll also have some convenience services for players, including an auction house in the city, which will be really nice if you're looking for more exotic wares. The thing that really sold me on Valdrassus
the auction
was
house coming back.
You notice something there, though. Again, Shady.
What?
They mentioned blue, red, bronze, and green. Again, nothing onto the black dragonflight.
Yeah.
There is no
It's become
information on the black dragonflight.
Yes, it's a running theme again. Unless the black dragonflight is going to be end game zone.
But no, that's the thing. That's all the zones. That's everything they've revealed. Because the other zone is the leveling zone for the Drakir. Drakfur, even, sorry. It's going to be their starter zone at level 58. But here's the thing. You know how Rathian is trying to save the black dragonflight from death? And we keep hearing about the 5 flights. I think it's not going to be endgame. I think it'll be in a later patch. We're going to help Rathian rebuild the black dragonflight, get them a zone specific for them, and then Rathian is going to appoint a new leader.
Yeah, it could well be.
Now, there's a reason I had to show you that city and everything. Because now we're going to go back to crafting.
Yep.
It matters.
Okay.
Because in the city, they're going to have a crafting area.
Nice.
With specifically something that they talked about called crafting tables. Where it's a system in itself where, you know, alchemists are all going to be huddled around like an alchemist's crafting table. Blacksmiths are going to be huddled around a forge. You're going to have specific areas to craft your stuff. And also the NPC for work orders being put in is going to be in this area as well. So all the players are going to be running past each other, interacting with each other, essentially. And it's going to create a living, breathing crafting zone for the game.
Be nice to see.
Now this
Actual
is... Yep.
Endgame PvP, not endgame PvP, endgame crafting, sorry.
Yeah. And this is where they've learnt from Final Fantasy. They've added quality to the items. So when you craft, you can craft higher quality gear. For gear, that could mean that it has a higher item level. For potions, it could have a more powerful effect. But with the increasing quality aspect of it, they're introducing stats. They're introducing crafting and gathering stats.
Yes.
Which means crafting and gathering gear. Like Final Fantasy.
That could work. I don't know how that's going to work in World of Warcraft. I will be honest.
They've said it's not going to take up your bag slots. You're going to have 2 different slots on your bars. You know when you put your gear on?
Yeah.
You're going to equip your class gear and you're going to have your profession gear. So when you start mining a node, your character's gear is going to change to the look of their profession gear and you're going to have those stats going at the same time.
Okay.
So you're going to be upgrading your profession gear and increasing your stats, which is going to make you better at crafting, along with the whole specialization leveling up on top of your normal gear. So there's going to actually be endgame crafter leveling.
I am genuinely interested in that. I really
yeah.
am.
And they did say they've got new gear slots for it so that you don't have to carry them in your bags. You're not going to be taking up bag space with it and then having to switch, mine, and switch back. It's going to automatically switch. You just have it all equipped, and then if you're not mining, you're not wearing the gears, technically.
Or actually getting specialized crafting gear.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Like I said,
I really do.
They've learnt from Final Fantasy. We're getting specialized crafting stats and gathering stats. They're adding quality to the materials you can mine or botany and all that as well. And like higher quality stuff is going to allow you to make higher quality stuff. They were saying they want professions to, like players, to become known on the work order stuff. They want their names to become known as good blacksmiths or good alchemists and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So like, say someone puts a work order on, you might become known for adding a little something extra to that work order just to give them a little bit extra on their stuff. You can become known as becoming someone who does that. And obviously taking people's work orders is going, while you're getting them gear or soulbounds and stuff for them to raid, you're going to be leveling up your profession.
Yeah, like I say, I'm genuinely...
And this is why I was saying that I wanted to leave profession as its own separate video sort of area. Because, as you can see, there's a lot going on with profession. They are building so much with it. Yeah, there's obviously, we don't have the most available information, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. I honestly do think that just like how Legion kind of worked for WoD and how Mop kind of came back from the kind of damage that Kata had, I think this could be the expansion where they actually manage to fix World of Warcraft, even if just for one expansion.
Yes and no. My opinion, they still need to do a lot of work.
Yes.
A lot of work.
But it's a step in the right direction, potentially.
But yes, it is a step in the right direction.
And the fact is, like, they are specifying, they are listening to players. A lot of these things they're bringing in are player feedback stuff. Which worries me, but also interests me. Because they've said they were listening to players before and then completely cocked it up.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'll be interested to see how much they do listen to the player base this time.
I think...
And actually take on board what a lot of the player base has said.
I think one thing I'm going to do is I am going to sign up for the beta.
I'm always signed up.
I'm going to sign up and try and get into the beta because I want... Believe it or not, the thing I want to test more than anything else, I want to test a new crafting system.
Yeah, I do.
You know, I want to see what it's like being an armor smith. I want to know what it's like being a blacksmith, weaponsmith. Sorry, I want to see if they've added more than just like 1 or 2 specializations. Are they going to bring back Gnomish and Goblin engineering? That'll be interesting.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, like with the whole Goblin stuff being more explosive and the Gnomish stuff having a habit of breaking.
Yep,
it's going to be interesting if they can do it, and I am genuinely excited, but the excitement sits there with cautious optimism because of what happened in BFA.
As much as I really do want it to succeed, I genuinely really do want it to succeed.
Yeah, same. I really want it to be a fantastic game again. I just hope we don't get a world quest system where we're just sat around running around doing 5 or 6 world quests every day.
I'm really cautious and really worried.
I think the new stuff they're looking to bring in is strong. What I worry is what they bring through. Do we get a new system with world quests? Are we going to have to do that again, where it's just log in, do 5 quests every day, bugger off? You know,
I hope not. I 100% want it to. Because it's...
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed WoW, and I'd like to go back and enjoy WoW. I really would. But as it stands right now, I'm really struggling. I log in and I feel like,
Yeah, no, I know the feeling. I really do. Like, I can't even log in. I've stopped my subscription. I had it on a 6-month sub, and I just can't find a
I've stopped
reason to go
mine.
back and play. But this could be, especially if they address the issues where, you know, logging off for a week puts you so far behind other players. It sounds, honestly, if I can play this and Final Fantasy and keep switching between them, and they don't release their content at the same time, but rather find a way to kind of balance it out, coexist, that's going to be amazing for the MMO market, because like you can be like, oh, the new raid's out in Final Fantasy, let's go over there and play that. We're already geared up because we crafted all the gear, the story's there, fantastic. Yeah. Oh, Final Fantasy, it's been out for 3 or 4 weeks now, we've done everything we need to do. Oh look, the WoW content's out. Brilliant, I've got new stuff to play.
Yeah.
If they can do that, there will honestly be, I think the MMO market could make a comeback, because it is still a niche market.
Yeah, it is. It's not many people play.
Like,
well,
yes,
there is many people that play, obviously, look at the numbers, but
you look at the numbers.
It's a market not many people gravitate towards.
Not only that, you look at the numbers and there's a lot of people playing it. You look at there's like, oh, like, there's 10 million people playing this, there's 10 million people or 20 million people playing this MMO. But in video game numbers, that's small. I mean, look at big games and like COD and stuff like that. First week of their release, you're looking at 50 to 500 million copies sold, people playing it.
Yeah.
The MMO market has a place, but
it does.
It's the grind, I think, that keeps a lot of players out of it, and also the fact that they can't just, in some cases, the class fantasy sides disappearing and the homogenization has damaged the MMO market. And I think it's starting to realize that now and come out and build its own unique worlds like it had before, where every game has its own thing to offer.
Yeah, and it's nice to see everything having its own thing to offer.
I legitimately look forward to the future of MMOs.
Yep. I just hope they get it right. I genuinely hope they get it right this time.
Yep. But as we know, there's only one way to find out. We will try to keep an eye. We will keep on it, obviously. I'm always looking at the interview notes, the future like interviews and stuff. And
best thing to do is we'll come back to this and we'll do it again as more information comes out, I guess.
Yeah, not only that, but it'll be nice to have this here as a, what's it called? A look back to look at where we were able to speculate, what stuff we got right, what stuff we got wrong, especially as it progresses. And yeah. But until then, I think this is a good place to call it. We've talked a lot. We've got into the aspect of our love. Like, we've played MMOs for years, like decades, but we've got decades between us. Same with when we throw Nathan into it, more and more decades between us. And so, I suppose until next time, have a good time, everybody.
Night.
Night.